Thank you, Chair Lady. Good afternoon to you, to the Honorable Prime Minister, my colleagues, the support staff, and everyone listening to the sound of my voice. Madam Chair Lady, I have one clarification actually and one request. I heard the Prime Minister repeatedly refer to the fact that the housing project was cancelled in April of 2024. I would like if documentation can be provided to substantiate such, for the simple fact that we were still in office in 2024, hence the reason I guess the reference was made, and that was never brought to my attention based on my recollection. I stand to be corrected, but I would like for that to be made clear. I know that in March of 2023, we went to Washington, D.C., and it was already discussion about the timeline and the feasibility and everything like that. And we fought tooth and nail to keep the project on the table. There were some minor things that needed to be done, especially with regards to the housing foundation, one of which was land allocation. Second one being the performance agreement being regulated. The performance agreement MOU was signed, so that was done, and the land allocation was basically in its final stages. But there were a lot of issues regarding the whole land issuance policy. So therefore, I would like some clarification, and not only clarification, documentation, because I think the question has outlived its lifespan. And lastly, Madam Chair, I have a statement and a question. Last week, during the first budget debate discussions with the Minister of Finance, I brought up a point that I had experience with a couple months ago when I left office with a civil servant passing away, and us as a ministry wanting to contribute for the funeral cost in its entirety, and it was stopped by someone within the apparatus, whether it be a minister, and there was a whole back and forth discussion, but that is not the point. My point was if we can put in place a mechanism, a structured mechanism where the government covers the funeral costs. I mentioned up to 13,000 guilders. I mean, here we are a week later, and unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation where that might be needed, and I would like to know, given the passing of most recently of one of our colleagues at the Ministry of Romy, I would like to know from the Prime Minister a clear-cut answer. Do you believe the life of a civil servant that has worked and contributed, I mean, in this case, a very short time, but for me, it doesn't discriminate whether it be 1 day or 30 years. The oath of office and the service to me is something quite significant. I would like to know from the Prime Minister, who's over P&O and the General Affairs, would you consider putting this policy in place to regulate so that an active civil servant funeral costs be covered up to 13,000 guilders? Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to the clarification. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Doran. MP Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good day to the Honorable Prime Minister, his support staff, the viewing and listening public. Madam Chair, again, the Telem question was not answered. I specifically asked a question on the issue with the mayor group, with the liens that were placed on Telem, and the article came out saying that it was handled. I would like to know what was the amount. I'm hearing 3.8. What was paid? Is it in installments? Is it a one-time payment that was made, a one-shot? How does this affect the budget of Telem? And what is the plans moving forward to remedy this? I also did not hear the answer on the consultants and the cabinet staff. The only persons that gave me a clear-cut, concise answer was the Honorable Minister of VSI, the Honorable Minister of Justice, and I see Tiat looking back, and the Honorable Minister of Tayat. But for some reason, I cannot get this answer from the Prime Minister. And I asked for a specific reason. Please provide me with the names of the labor contracts that you have in your cabinet, the amounts, and also your cabinet staff. It is not that difficult as we, when I was a minister, had to provide it, and I did. And I also want to know, because if then there's no consultants, then the 96,000 can be placed towards justice or something. So please provide me with this, Prime Minister. Prime Minister, I just have a couple clear, concise questions. Do you think, through you, Madam Chair, that St. Maarten has a housing problem? I hear you speak of the trust fund canceling the project. do you think that now, especially now with that being canceled, with the light at the end of the tunnel being closed, that we have a housing problem? Do you also think and agree that we have a poverty problem, through you, Madam Chair? Do you, the Prime Minister, champion relief for the people of St. Maarten and relief for all of us that are having issues with GEBE? And I say all of us. Through you, Madam Chair, what is the Prime Minister's thoughts? Because we hear a lot about the fuel clause, and yes, your job is to explain it, and you have been very detailed when it comes to the fuel clause, through you, Madam Chair. But what is your thoughts, Prime Minister, on some persons receiving maybe, just for example, a 100 guilder bill, but the fuel clause is 500 guilders, 5 times as much, sometimes 6 times as much. GEBE generates revenue by collections. Nonetheless, there was a hack that created an issue with the billing system. Now, bills are coming in, and granted, some consumers did not even pay. But with the bills, there are a lot of wrong bills, we have to admit. But persons now are being threatened that, hey, we're going to cut the bill, and you have 3 months. We give you a 3-month maximum or a 50% down payment. Some of these people cannot afford this down payment. I remember when I was there, I asked GEBE to consider 25% instead of the 50%, which they did on a social aspect. But now I see that this seems to have changed. Again, how much? You did a breakdown of the fuel clause, and you said that a percentage of it goes towards the throughput fee. What percentage of the fuel clause goes towards the throughput fee? Also, the loan, 75.6 million. I was having a discussion, and I was told that, but I would like to know if it's, can GEBE afford this loan? The reason I say this is that I was privy that GEBE can afford the loan, just that the interest rate will not be as favorable as government. So I would like to know, can GEBE afford this loan, and government is offering the services for a favorable interest rate? I see that there's a picture of the 20 generators reaching here. Each generator, I think, if I can do the math, is 20 megawatts total, so each generator is 1. So what was the reason for purchasing 21 megawatt generators? This is 20, and not 1, 20, or 2, 10, just to know, because it's a lot of maintenance, a lot of technical aspects. We speak of the loan, the 75.6 million. I would like a timeline, because I don't want the public to think that this 75.6 million means GB is good tomorrow. I would like a timeline on passing the budget, a bid, ordering the generators being here and installed and hooked up. What is the time frame estimated from passing of the budget? So I would like, I hear talks, but then I'll wait on you to answer that question. Indeed. Because I know the Prime Minister did say it'll take about 2 years in a CC meeting, so I would look forward to that writing coming back. But I just want to make sure. Why is the Prime Minister the spokesperson for GEBE? I asked this specifically. When I was in the COM, I didn't agree with it, and I don't agree with it now. But why? What legislation, what policy, what decree causes this? Is this the same for the hospital? Which minister does the hospital fall under? I am seeing a lot of hospital updates, but I'm seeing more of the Prime Minister when it comes to the hospital than the Minister of VSA. So was there a change in the structure of this Council of Ministers? Honorable Prime Minister, and through you, Madam Chair, I understand what the government is trying, why the 75.6 million is being asked. I understand, I really do. We need to do something. Sometimes the something in such a magnitude needs to be the right thing. And the questions posed by my person and the detailing is ensuring that if I support this budget, that I can live knowing that I am doing the right thing. Because a question that I have, and it's burning, is what happens if this loan is approved and GB defaults? Because I don't see any government dare to put a loan on GEBE that will cause or hamper permanent outage. But what happens if they default? That is the question. And last but not least, I asked about GEBE being able to afford this loan. What about GEBE acquiring the loan and government standing guarantor for the loan? See, standing guarantor allows us to carry out projects, because I keep asking, and I heard the Minister of Finance say it. Minister of Finance said it, and she said it today again. All projects moved to 2025 CAPEX are not guaranteed. All 2025 projects moved to CAPEX are not guaranteed. We have not received CAPEX since 2019, I guess 20, 21, 22. So what I'm saying is, while we have an assurity and an approved CAPEX, it was 2023? For 2023, I do not want us to lose the opportunity as government to carry out housing, social, and all of these other projects that were intended when GEBE can acquire this loan and government stands guarantor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Otley. I continue and I give the floor to MP York. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, good afternoon to the Prime Minister and his support staff. I just have a few questions as it pertains